Hello and welcome everybody. It is proMX Dynamics Week 2022. This is the first day of 5-day in a row sessions, and we are happy that you are joining us. And I see that more and more people are coming and bypassing the lobby, which is super great. Today is the first day, as I said, and we will talk about today. We'll talk a lot about project operations actually. And before we start, I just made this small announcement. You will see some links in the chat with the registration for the next sessions. Please have a look at them. And if you like something, then just register or join us on LinkedIn. There will be also a link to join our subscription list if you want to know about more webinars and events proMX is doing this year and the next year. Please welcome to our subscription list. And yes, today with us, Sebastian Sieber. I think he will introduce himself because he has so many responsibilities in our team, and also he's the head of our product development team. So yeah, Sebastian, let us start.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Jelena, and thank you for organizing this week, and thank you for having me as a speaker here. So always happy to participate in these weeks. By the way, there will be a second session for me uh, on Wednesday, I guess. And yeah, so starting off today, what is coming to project operations, to Dynamics 365 project operations? First of all, let's start over with myself. My name is Sebastian Sieber. I'm, as already introduced, product manager and project operations expert or senior consultant, solution architect, whatever you want to call it. And I work for proMX since close to 10 years, I guess now. So I'm getting older, and somehow I have a very nice talent that after every photo shooting we take, I decide to change my hair dramatically. I always look a bit different on pictures than I do on the video shooting than or in real life. So somehow I have a talent for that. And yeah, so as Yella mentioned, I'm responsible for everything that goes out with our internal product development, our ISV content, and as well, I'm responsible for a lot of things that going on project operations. In case you want to reach out to me after the sessions because you have questions, because you maybe see us on YouTube or you see that later on, um, there's a link tree right with the QR code. Just scan that and can you reach out per email or LinkedIn, or you can as well find other information, for example, from proMX in general. So we will start with a very short introduction of project operations. What is that even been, and what is that we are talking about today? So project operations is one of the business applications and was kind of released in October 22 at yeah October 2020. 22 is a bit far away. The previous version, PSA or Project Service Automation, is around 2016 already. So from a versioning side, PSA is basically version 3 and Preservations is version 4. But there's a bigger update of that within these products or within the product, which includes and combines different products to like one new product. And this as well includes PSA, parts from the Dynamics 365 finance side, and as well project for the web. So PMs will have, or project managers, PMs short, PMs will have the opportunity to plan their projects, to do stuff with Project for Web integrated into their CE interface. We call that PaxWeb. I'm not sure if this is like the official name for it. Somehow it was introduced at some point during like the development phase, I guess. So we call it PaxWeb. So every time I rather to or point out to the PaxWeb, it's the version of Project Portal Web you get integrated in Project Operations, because it gets some changes with that. It's not exactly the same. There are still some changes, but I will point them out later for you. And then, of course, from the accounting side, we get a lot of finance information into that whole process with the integration of F&O. And basically, Project Operations, therefore, is the very first product to combine like the CE and F&O side, and as well a bit from the Office side, from the Project Follow-up. Important to know, there are different deployment types. So you can have different versions of Project Operations based on what you need it for. So would you have the light deployment, which is basically the CE side, and CE stands then for customer engagement. You can call it CRM, or you can call it sales, or yeah, CRM I think is the oldest one of the names. So it depends on how long you're around with the whole platform and everything that goes around on that side. That's depends on that. Right now, I think it's still called, I hope it's still called CE and customer engagement. If not, then please correct me for sure. And as a second scenario for deployment, uh, we do have a resource and non-stocked based scenarios deployment. This then basically is the combination of a CE deployment and an F&O deployment. You don't like get like the whole F&O world, but you get an integrated version of that, which then works together with the dual write and synchronizes back data between the two environments. And there's a stock production scenario where you then use the F&O side completely, because there's a whole F&O project management module on that side. Good. Purpose of project operations is basically to organize projects, to plan projects, to schedule and staff resources, to do time recording, and as well bring those information to the invoice. And that all happens within a process. And we will look into this today. Before we do that, one little thing about how releases are working. Because this is where I get a lot of questions for, and most of the questions I can quickly answer, but it's always the same repeating question, and I hope I can help you with that. So, we have a timeline. So there's October 2022 on the very left-hand side and March next year on the right-hand side, and there's like in between those years. And there's a time frame from October, so from last month till March 23, which is called Release Wave 2 or October Release Wave. You can find it with different names. And during that period of time, we will get monthly updates with new functionality. So this is the whole release sprint or release wave till March 23. So if something got announced or will be announced for that October release wave, it's not meant that it should be there in October the 1st. It is more likely to release somewhere throughout that wave. That is a bit different from what it was, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. There we had really release events with like private previews a lot, and you got like some hands-on, and you gathered together even in the evenings and had some pizza, and we're looking into private previews, and that a bit changed. See a lot of new things coming out on the fly. A lot of new things coming as well as an opt-in feature. We will see that later as well. So it's different times, and those different times require some different approaches. And when we talk about the April release wave, this is then basically same scenario. Everything that goes on from April to then September 23 next year. This is the time frame that everything comes in with April release wave, or then called 2023 release wave 1 again. So that's how it called. That's like how the structure is. I hope that helps a bit. And we will mainly talk about things that are just recently released or will release during that October release wave. And therefore, we're jumping into the very first example. That is the upgrade to Purge operations. That is basically available in November. I'm not sure if it's yet available. It was available or was not available when I checked it last week. See, maybe this week there's some change on that, so there's no real um, release date with it. So it will come in November, or basically then maybe depending on the region you have your organization in, maybe it's already there or maybe it's coming in like early December. And basically it is just a solution update in the Power Platform Center. And you can update them in place from the PSA, so the project service automation, which you may have still in place, to project operations. And what you want to do then after that migration happens, you want to manually convert your running projects to the PAX web. That's what I mentioned. That's the project for a web integration. So every project you still have on your PSA version or your PSA installment base needs to be touched manually. I think there's a scenario for like 5 or 10 records at the same time. It wasn't there in the preview, say in the early adapter phase. It wasn't there. Maybe they will add it in the next or within the GA, but it was not there when I had a hands-on of that. But I will just guide you through and then you see what I'm talking about, because then I think that's much more easier. So basically, important thing here to recognize is we are not having the option to upgrade anything to pre-cheat operations integrated scenario. So the deployment type where we do have the FNO connected with the CE side, we can only upgrade the PSA to pre-cheat operations Lite, which is only the CE side. If you're a customer or you have a customer, they have the need to connect the F&O side of that. It's perhaps the chance to clean up a lot of things and start from scratch again. In general, as well, if you do have a PSA in place right now, and there may be some processes which are okay-ish, but they're maybe like a bit outdated, and there's as well some obsolete functionality which was developed some years ago or so. That's maybe as well a good chance to really start from scratch again and yeah, not rely on like this old installment and this old versioning. Um, it's worth a shot to start from scratch because it just makes then things more smooth, and new developments as well have long or better quality on the long term for this site. But nevertheless, let's jump into that. We will find ourselves on the PPAC, Power Platform Admin Center. Actually, you can as well reach that via aka.ms/PPAC. So short term, so you don't have to type in admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com or whatever. And I already navigated here for us to the target environment we do have. So we do have our PSA environment, which we want to upgrade for. And here we do see our resources, and we want to navigate to the Dynamics 365 apps, where you can find like all the solutions and products that you have installed in this environment. And therefore, we just go there and select Install App on the very top side and select therefore Bridge Operations. My smart hat decided to do these upgrade before I take the screenshots. Therefore, you can see the preservation is already installed. But usually you just click on install application and it says, hey, do you want to really install preservations? And you click, yeah, of course, I want to do that. And then basically what happens in the backend is that it will make a solution update for that. So you see, this is what is happening at the end. You have a very, very nice and straightforward log filing, or basically um, process filing. So when something goes wrong during that process, because there are some limits which the PHP website cannot fulfill, or the migration will not check on. Um, if something will fail, it will really fail in like the very first moments, say like 10 minutes or something. So your upgrade logs are accessible in the system, and they are very well defined, and you shouldn't have any issues. If you're coming from a technical side, nothing should go wrong with that. So you can just go there and see why it was failed. And for example, it even gives you out the IDs and names of like tasks or project which is the upgrade is fitting for, or because the upgrade is fitting for. So that's really straightforward. That's a pretty nice experience, pretty smooth for this state. I honestly, my personal opinion, I didn't expect it to be that good documented in the system in general. So I can just go there and see like what was the issue. And in the system, I tried it out. I even like got some headache because it was not working in the first place, and I corrected like all the issues I had. So there were some tasks where like there was some limits reached for resource assignments, and then there was some summary tasks which had a role assigned, and somehow that's not supported. And then it just gives me still the error. And at the end, we managed to fill in some deprecated fields. So maybe you want to check that in the future. I don't know if they will take that check out, but if you're still using some deprecated fields, like role deprecated field in version 3, it was already deprecated, then it upgrade will fail and it will give you some messages then. And in this case, it didn't say that it's this role deprecated in version 3 field. Um, it will just say it's a role field, and you then check the form and you check the advanced search, and I said there is no role field on that. I cleaned up everything. But finally, I get over it, and then you get basically the PHP operations model-driven map with like all the functionality, including what is already there on the PSA side, things like modern approvals, and as well subcontract planning, all the stuff, and of course the new interface with the PAX web and all pre-operation related features. When you first then open a project, as we can see it here, we want to pay attention to the very first message we can see on the screen right there. It says this is project is upgraded from a previous version of project operations. Navigate to tracking tab to view tasks. So there's that message, and then of course, first thing you do, you want to click on tasks and see what's going on, and then you can see. I will highlight that very secondly, that this project is externally scheduled. Navigate to the tracking tab to view your tasks. So your tasks or your schedule, what you had before, is not there anymore where it was supposed to be. Um, what we find it for is in a tracking tab. So in the tracking tab, we can still see like how our project looks like with all the tasks, all of that got overtaken. Um, and it looks quite similar to the experience we do have on the PSA side, but not in the task tab. And that's because every project that comes from PSA is externally scheduled or marked as externally scheduled, gets a tick with that. And the project manager first has to activate the project for the web interfacing for that project. And this as well comes with the project for the web scheduling. So the scheduling in project operations works a bit different apart from PSA. So we are not able anymore to do direct updates on a project task, or resource assignment level. That all handles or gets handled by an API outside, which as responsible for the scheduling in project for the web. So it's the same engine. As mentioned previously, the UI is a bit different, or like not quite different. There's been a bunch of features not there in the project operations PAX web integration from. There you have to be careful if you compare both of them. But the scheduling and the rules are all the same. Maybe we can just remind that external scheduling thing for a moment because we'll come up this later. Um, you don't need to convert your projects. That's one of the most important things. So if you want to just you keep your project and it's like there is no updates with that, or you want even like to do your scheduling manually or something, so you do want to rely on your own checks, you can do that. This comes in with things like validation and what happens if I move one task that depends to another task about like for 2 weeks, what should happen with the predecessor or successor, whatever. So that all then comes in with that decision, and you need to be sure that you want to take that step that may offer some more customization, and you're basically taking away the option to use the PAX web. Um, yeah, while we have seen like this information right there that we do have now our project, we still have our project plan. Nothing was touched in this case. Everything is like it was before. It's just kind of read only. So that whole screen we can see right there with like all my different tasks I created. This is read only, so I cannot really go there and like add new task or something. I don't have the option there. That's where like a manual scheduling would take part. But we want to take again some focus on this little guy here, says convert, and each project manager then basically has the option to convert their project to that scheduling API and to that integration with project for the web. That takes a while, and depending on the size of the project, I think for here it was like close to 20 seconds or something. Um, but in depending on how many operations there are and how many project managers, like figuring it out at the same point could be as well take like 2-3 minutes. So, but it happens asynchronously in the background, so you can just mark your project, convert that, and then continue on something else. And you get a like in-app notification. That's the new thing you can still see over there. There's a new notification button, and you can see them basically pop in some small text notification on the right upper corner, and says here, your project was successfully rescheduled. So with confirming that and everything is going through, and then you get the task view again with your tasks, and besides like little small scenarios where there's a change in your project structure, there should be up to literally no change with that. So the project plan you get from PSA or you have from the PSA side should be still there on the project operation side. So it should be identically. There shouldn't be any or not much changes with that. The reason for that is you will see in a second, because there are two features which are enabling external scheduling and the maintaining of contours of your assignments and your planning. And within that, we will get like new opportunities, new chances to customize as well the experience for like every employee that is working with that, but as well it enables the way or enables the path for the migration in general. So and these features were very important in terms of like, make this migration even happening, and that's perhaps the reason why it took a while to bring this on board. And what got unfortunately like some of the settings here are German in my system here. So you get a grid, you get the board, it's more like a Kanban board. I think I have a screenshot later on. And as well, you get like a time plan, which shows like a little Gantt chart thing where you can as well see dependencies with that, diagrams and persons. I think as well I do have screenshots for that in a moment. So this is about the upgrade to Pretty Operations. As a summary, we can only upgrade PSA to Pretty Operations Lite deployment. So in case you have an F&O system or you want to have an F&O system in the future, that's very important to consider with your partner in this scenario. It's totally not a step back to start from scratch again. In some cases, it really makes sense to do that extra step, to take this extra mile, to have a very consistent and nice system for the end user at the end. And the update is very straightforward. It's well documented in your change logs, so you can reach that out pretty easily if there's an issue with that. It is basically only a solution update as you apply it today as well for our products in your PPAC, Power Platform Admin Center. I'm sorry. um, and when converted, or no, sorry, when updated to project operations, the project manager has to do a conversion of the project. As mentioned in the early adopter phase, I didn't have the option to select like 3 or 5 projects to do that. I heard that this should be possible. Perhaps it comes in a GA or maybe a bit later. It is well, I'm as well not sure yet about if this is something like a job you can run just after the migration. So that's something we definitely need to figure out. But for that, GA is in November, which we are kind of in the middle of. So I hope to get some more information on that soonish. Then let's jump into some more categories. So we do have, for example, sales process and quotation. There we get some new, user interface and user experience for the quotation in general. So you will get more graphics, you get more charts of it, you more KPIs. It will be just be more easy to find your data. There's as well a very big word on that slide here. It's called one grid approach. There's a new grid coming or close to be released. You may already knew it as a Power Apps grid, perhaps before it was in preview or is still in preview, I guess. That grid is used through like all the different entities and tables, which we will see in the next updates. So as soon as you do have kind of a subgrid, that grid will be used. That will be as well used for new time entry experience. And that one grid do has some capabilities. In that case here, we got like the product lines and project lines, project baselines, nested together in one grid, and you will be able to see summaries and things like that. So it really looks more straightforward and more intuitive than it was before. There's as well something you can opt in for right now. There's like a quote revision feature, and you can opt in all these new features if you go to your PSA or Page Operations application, model-driven app. Go for settings. So you want to go for this settings area there, and then you want to find the parameters. And I hope for you there is only one. If there are two, you might have a problem, and you should may reach out. No, but joking aside, there should be one parameter for your environment, and then you do have in the main grid here, you do have the feature control, and you can drop that down, and you'll find the enable activation and for revising quotes. So you can enable and revise quotes. That basically just works as in sales. So it is just the same old button comes back, and you're able to revise quotes out of the box, which is very, very bigly needed and took way too long time to bring that back. But finally, it's there. You can opt it in. It will be active. That's definitely something you want to try out if you don't have any customization around that. And as well, in case you do have accounts and contacts as your customers, you will get as well now support for that customer field. Usually, the customer lookup is a very specific type in Dynamics or like the whole platform, and it usually points out to two tables, account and contact, and usually a lookup only points out to one table. That makes that special. And in previous operations, it was not able or was not possible to have the contact in that customer scenario, but now it is there. Regarding the redesign for the quote, when this will hit, I think that will be more at the end of the wave. Um, as well, like this one grid or Power Automate grid, no, not Power Automate, Power App grid. The Power Apps grid is basically there already, so you can as well use it. I think it will just roll out after time, so stay patient with that and have your eyes open. And the quote revision, as mentioned, you can activate that right now, same as some subcontractor handling. And the third one, we will talk later about it. This will be for price lists. Let's move over to project planning. We already saw a bit of the project plan, and I talked about two important features which make that whole migration possible. The first one is bring your own scheduling, BIUS. This will ship. I wrote down this will ship with the next update. And no, I'm not sure if the next update is the update which comes like in like 2 weeks or which was there last week or something. It is very dependent on like the release track you're on like which region you're sitting. But this will ship in latest end of November, I guess. It will be not there by default, so that's maybe important for partners. Um, in terms of you want to enable bring your own scheduling, external scheduling for a certain project, it will be not there just out of the box. Just to be sure that the end user who's creating the project is not accidentally going there. Hey, it is a new field. I will click yes on that. Nice. What a nice feature. And then it will completely detach everything from your project regarding to the scheduling API, and it will be not possible to reattach that again. And you will need to start over the whole project creation process again. So you don't want to have that, and you will see the same interface as you could see in the previous screenshots where we had the PSA migrated project where we don't have the task section. It will be just not there. It will be saying, hey, this is external scheduled. I have nothing to do with that. Go to tracking and then you can see your tasks. But as mentioned, you cannot create tasks there. So you need something else like your import scenario or maybe a different product, an ISV from a partner to leverage then some functionality on that. The good thing on that side is you really have the option to choose um, the project operations or packs project for web investments looking pretty solid for the next sprints, I would say. Um, but still, if you're looking for something else, this is basically that feature you're looking for and you want to go on because every other application you're willing using for your scheduling does not have to use the API. Important is you cannot just like turn it on and off again per project. So that's not possible. You either decide on creation and but on the other hand side, you can, for example, still use both in one environment. So if you maybe have different rollouts for different countries, and some country want to use the Microsoft provided solution, you can do that, and you can just decide for that. Second of this super important path enabling features for the migration is the editing of contours for resource assignment. And this is, generally speaking, your pattern on like how much hours a day, a week, a resource should work on your project. This will come as a addition. So the functionality is there already. If you want to use the API, it is there. There will be an UI of that in one of the next updates. So still during the October release wave for sure, which then will say resource assignments, and then you can see a list of your resource assignments, and then you will see how many hours a day the resource is planned during out your project. And you can just leave it as it is, but you can as well go in and define like every hour to the ground, and as well do your planning like this, because making changes there will affect directly your project plan. So if you plan your developer instead of 40 hours for 86 hours, then it will update your task to 86 hours. Um, which is quite nice actually, because it just enables more detailed work for the project manager if they like to do so. And if not, they will just leave it default as it is right now. But it is very important just to maintain as well the pattern you get from the piece A side for that migration to come into project operations platform. So I of both, I didn't have real opportunity to have some screenshot. The resource assignments is as well not there yet. Um, sorry for that. I couldn't provide any pictures of that. But for the next one, I can also don't have pictures for that, but for the rest, I do have pictures for sure. So conditional formatting, I don't have pictures for that. Sorry, super sorry for that. It is more like something a if else question. So if like I don't know, if the budget is over five 5K on a certain task, then mark that red, and then you can like do some coloring within your project plan. Looks pretty nice. I already saw it. And it was there, I think, for solid half an hour or something, but they rolled it back maybe because of some issues. And then we want to look into the peoples and charts view. So that's where I have screenshots for, because first of all, they are already there in the pre-checked operations, and here I use the pre-checked for the web view because it was easier for me to take some screenshots of that. And if you want to have a look in the people view, so you still see like the same um, tabs here. Basically, you can as well see the integration. You will see that in a second again. Grid is your project plan, board are the boards, so the Kanban board. Timeline is your Gantt chart. Basically, you have like new charts and people. And in that case, I'm all alone on that project. Uh, that's basically the downside on working with Project for Lab. Because if I add like my colleagues like Daniel or Manuel or Peter or someone, then they will get all the emails and like, hey, you're at a new project. And I didn't want to bother them with that. So I decided I'll work on my own on the project. And I do have here different tasks. Some of them are unassigned, some of them are already completed. And they're as well categorized in different buckets, like bucket one and development, for example. And as well, I already have completed one. That's pretty nice. So I have assigned one to my side. And if you have a bigger project team, then you see like all the people working for your project, and then you as well have an overview about like what is going on, how many tasks are already completed, what is going on with the hours. So you can as well have a lot of options to change the options right there, and as well filter or change the grouping and things like that. So it's just an additional overview, more driven from a resource perspective for the PM. Then as well charts. I tried my best to bring like close to all the colors on the charts. Very basic overview, basic dashboard, basically to all the tasks which are open, which are in progress, which I didn't start yet, maybe which are late already. So just a very rough overview about your project plan as a PM. Um, Perhaps I think for a basic start it is enough, and then from that base on, I think it makes sense to develop a dashboard or Power BI. And then we want to as well look onto labels. You can find labels here on the right-hand side. This is not yet there on the project operations side. That's why I choose here project for web to show the for a second here. You do have out of the box 20 labels, which are created with each project, and they are named based on the color they are. So they're red, lime, green, yellow, blue, whatever. And as a PM, you can just go there and label those tasks individually, and can as well rename those labels. So, for example, there's a customer involved here, and this is go live critical, and so you can like stick them out again. And if we go back some screens and check on the people's view, you can refine those labels like all over the place. So you can really mark those things through. Those labels, they have update. No, no, I'm saying something wrong there. Let's stop here. Labels, they will come to page operations definitely as well this wave. And then some new functionality we as well saw, or we can see right now on the project for the website, which will also come then later to the page operations. The data set is already there, is sprints. So you can go to boards and then group by sprints here in the upper corner, can select group by sprints. And then your backlog is basically all your tasks you have in your project plan. And then you can create different sprints. For example, create a November and December sprint. Very important here is they have a start and end date, and they're not allowed to overlap. So you cannot use the same dates on that. And therefore, it's pretty important to distinguish between that. And therefore, we want to go with checklists, which is also there. So you can go there, you can find these little tabs here again, charts and people. And as well, you can click on the project task, scroll it down actually, and then find the checklist. So you can as well see like a checklist progress bar here a little bit. And then you can find some checklist items I've created. So you can just add some items, just in case you want to start up some activity and set up some more detailed work for your task. Those have an API support, so you can do all these options as well with API. And for example, if you're working with templates or something, there is definitely possible for investment in that side. And before I talk about the performance improvements, there is as well some improvement in the budgeting. I think that's a bit blurry because this is not my screenshot. It's not there yet. This is the one grid experience I was talking about and referring to earlier. So there's like a white background. It's a very straightforward table. Looks a bit like Excel. You can see like there are some sums on that, and you can basically track your budget and your forecasting directly on the project. And you can see that based on, for example, in that case, January, February, and March. So it's distinguished by the month the project runs for, and that goes through like all the information you do have for a budget, and you can as well see if you're over or in budget. Um, in general, we as well receive some performance improvements. These should ship with the next now upcoming update. Where just like all these bulk operations, like creating a lot of data, updating a lot of data, like resource assignments, bookings, tasks, things like that. This should really move a step forward. So this should be faster. The reason for that is that in the background, there is just like a new update scenario on how the API communicates with the Dataverse, which is underneath everything. So he prepared for some more faster project operations work. Looking at the time, I will rush a bit forward because we will see resource scheduling and time recording. Again, I'm super sorry, I don't have screenshots for that. It's not yet there. Um, Definitely, as mentioned, we will definitely see some performance improvements for like resource bookings to book them through the scheduling board, as well. The scheduling board will be officially be GA during that sprint for preparations. There's some improvements for your work hour templates planned to make this a bit more easier to look into from a user side. There is always a lot of things coming up with that, and it's not that transparent as it should be, or it could be. Same that there's, did you know there's a project calendar for projects? Usually a project as well gets a calendar control, or it gets, or not a control, but it gets a calendar assigned, and then the project runs based on a calendar. In 99 phases, in 99 situations of 100 there, we don't touch it at all. We just leave it and hide the field. And but this will as well get some improvements. There will be the first version will be a read-only view of that calendar on the project, so you can access that. And the second one is done with updates and things like that. So you can as well, for example, plan your projects in a way that like Friday we're not working, and therefore there's no working day on Friday on this project, but maybe on our projects, and therefore then this as well goes hand in hand with like the contours of your pattern, and then you can plan your resources otherwise, things like that. Um, I as well mentioned the one grid. This will get some enhancements for the time recording. In the first place, the first version of that will only match what is already there. So the new control we will use to match the existing control. Um, Although it looked a bit nicer, what I saw before. Um, there's a video on YouTube actually of the finance and project operations forecast for October wave. You perhaps want to check that out because there is like a 2 seconds of that new grid. But I was not sure if it is okay to show it, therefore I didn't show it. Um, we will get as well a mobile application, which will be definitely um, uh, Canvas app. So that will as well enable users from smartphones to track time directly, and delegations will also find its way into preparations later this sprint. And for that, it's planned to have for time setup delegation. So you can define a time of period from like today till next week. The guy can track from on behalf of me and can have access to my time recording. And then after that, it automatically goes away. So it's more like I go on vacation for a week or two, and then I assign a delegation for someone else who can have access to my data and on terms of time recording in case there is something wrong. So this will as well find its way. And then last but not least, finance and billing. Um, I wrote in brackets that some things of that are only for F&O side, so they don't really take place into the SCE side. So of course, with the stronger finance module on the F&O side, the investments are go on that place more heavier than what we see on the CE side, of course. Of course. So as well, the F&O side will get a mobile application that will as well work with some microservices and as well some AI to get like information from your builds and things like that to match that with the system. That will be there. This will be coming late next year, so next year March. It will be as well, there will be as well a approach for Expanse mobile app for CE, but this will then basically later after March release, so it's something then for the April or then the new October wave. Because of some offline capabilities, this will work actually with Cosmos DB, which will be really interesting. So really looking forward with that. The whole design looks pretty interesting from a backend perspective to me. There will be more streamlined tax calculation for sales and costs. They will receive a bigger update and will support more countries and taxation profiles on the F&O side. And as well, there will be subscription for billing projects. That feature will land around April in F&O and will be then available in the PHP operations integrated version then in the October 2023 release wave, so in a year approximately. And with that, subscription billing can be used to, for example, capture support cases, licensing subscriptions for the customer, and it's also using that tax and invoicing engine on the F&O side. So it's built for complex billing rules and real high volume and performance optimized invoicing. So that is also something I look personally forward to. What we find on the CE side is the date effective override for price lists. You can find that here again. So we had this before, so you navigate your project parameter and enable date effective price override for price lists. Trust me, it's there. And this will basically enable the option to define price list amounts or price list items amounts for certain price lists, and you can provide or you can maintain changes on the fly, so you don't all the time have to create a new price list, or you don't need to do full copy price lists in the system. As well, the system takes advantage of that. So every time, for example, you go into a project contract, you need to do a full copy, or the system does a full copy for price list for that contract in terms of their certain price list changes for the contract specifically. And with that feature, the whole system load gets reduced unlike that operation. So it's not necessary anymore to do a full copy. You can just take parts of it. And for now, it's an opt-in feature because it may screw up some terms of your price listing. So be careful of that, please. It will be as well a bit more visible in the future because right now it's just somewhere hidden. You need like to click through like 2 or 3 subreddits to go there. So it's a bit hidden, but it's fine. It's about pricing. That shouldn't be that easy. So it will be definitely more transparent in the next weeks, and I think as well there will be more information on that soon, how it can be leveraged in a perfect way. And then very nice as well for the people in the company creating the invoices out of project contracts at the end of the month or so. Still doing this manually. There is now the option to bulk invoice that. So you can just go to project contracts, which are ready for invoice, and then just mark, I don't know, 20 of that, and then say, okay, create me my invoice, and that will then run the show. Talking about the show, this is about to end. And if you do have some questions, I hope I have the answers for that. If not, please reach out to us, to me afterwards, if there's something. And then one more last thing from my side before I give back to Yelena for your questions, if there are any. I want to thank you all for like attending that session today. This is the first session of in total 5 webinars during this week, all for free, all powered by proMX and Yelena's beautiful team. And tomorrow we will see something about the Power Platform, what is coming there, what is new on that side. And this will not be with me, so you're good to join that session for sure. And now back to you, Jelena. Do we have some questions?
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you so much for preparing this nice content for us today. Thank you for overtaking my part with promotion of the next session.
Yeah, I'm learning,
Yes,
constantly
yeah,
learning.
that's great. So yeah, let us wait maybe for some 2 minutes if there are any questions uh, for a while.
If
Or
you're waiting for questions, yeah,
we can do
sorry.
other way. I will ask you, Sebastian, right now, scroll to your first or second slide where people can find your LinkedIn
Oh,
QR
yeah.
code, because we have just 2 minutes to finish this session. I'm pretty sure everybody either want to start their working day or finish their working day finally.
Yeah, sure.
So if you have any questions, you can easily contact Sebastian via his LinkedIn profile or write to our email box, look@proMX.net, and we will be able to answer your questions. And
And
then for today, we will finish this session. As Sebastian said, we will have 4 more sessions during this week. Have a look at our website, register on the other sessions. Everybody who will, people who registered on the sessions will get the links to the videos after the sessions. And later on, maybe in 3 or 4 weeks, we will also do the summary blog article where you will have access to all of the sessions we will lead during this entire Dynamics week. Thank you so much once more for having this session with us. Have a great day up front, or have a nice evening. And yes, see you tomorrow on the next session. Bye bye.
bye. Thank you, Elena, for moderating.